Where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a baseball bat. Where you is where it's at, and you can't beat that with a bat. Baseball bat, baseball bat, baseball bat, baseball bat, you can't beat that with a bat. You can't beat that with a baseball bat.
So let's break things down. There are only 3 fixture types: a Sharpie, a wash, and a strobe, and they're all using modified fixture definitions with only the necessary attributes, since I'm limited to 4 universes in Onyx. You can see I've got Sharpies in groups of 4 separated by single wash lights, with strobes also set up in groups of 4. Over in Onyx, you can see my base fixtures are a clay packy Sharpie for my beam, and ADJ Jolt for my strobe, a single channel dimmer for my LED screens, and a Martin Mac 101 for my wash. Again, I have modified all of these definitions to have smaller footprints. I also swapped the color wheel on the Sharpie for RGB for practice. You can see my 2D map. It's incomplete and not great. I'm pretty new to Onyx, so to program my lights, I'll open Unreal on a second screen and flail my way through some looks. Dennis Swan has hooked me up with a show file with some handy presets and given me a couple crash courses in Onyx, so I'm able to create decent looks about 1 out of 4 times I try. I've still got a lot to learn. I also know this setup is quite bare and minimal, and ideally would have more lights facing the audience and a more variety in fixture type, but it's a lot to take in going in from a gig bar that I was controlling with sound switch. So after I've got a few cues and chases thrown together, I map those to my stream deck using the companion app. Currently, I'm just triggering cues that I read from my playback buttons, and things are scattered pretty haphazardly. Ideally, I would create 3 or 4 main buttons to press, like chorus, build up, transition, strobe, and those would be cue list full of appropriate cues and macros if I had chases I needed to use. How did I end up here? So I saw the Moment Factory project that got released recently, and I, like many, was blown away by its scale and complexity. I had also recently entered a contest for Carbon, a paid and professional DMX plugin with more features than the standard vanilla DMX plugin, and was super impressed with the light shows of the other contestants who were clearly using more professional software than the sound switch I had used for my entry. I searched for some stadium lighting videos and came across one by Christian Anderson, where he had a pretty fun looking stage and even showed a very detailed view of his fixture layout. I saw a chance to learn and recreated the layout in Unreal, but it had more fixtures than SoundSwitch could address. I asked for and got some help getting started with Onyx from there. I ended up modifying the rig in a few ways, reducing the complexity and making things more symmetrical, but I like how it turned out. If nothing else, it's a good starter rig to practice on. And the Ocean is just your standard Unreal water plugin with floating balls piggybacking their color and brightness from the RGB and dimmer of various lights. And I know there's a ton to improve. The camera tracks are haphazard and just for testing. Everything is in hyper alpha. I've got a dancing crowd that I need to optimize that would add some much needed motion, and I also have some other things like syncing my turntables into the game equivalents, special effects, and other extras that I will continue to add as I become more confident in my light show ability. Or maybe I'll find someone in the American Northwest, where I'm from, that is already a lighting designer and would like to collab. Anyway, that is my setup for now.